Hi everyone, wanted to talk about a little bit about the World Junior Championships and particularly the Russian performance in it. Obviously, very disappointing. Going out of the quarterfinals to Switzerland. Um, I've kind of predicted it that they were gonna have trouble making it to the semifinals based on their performance in the group games. After I saw them play, they could have easily been 1 and 2 after the first 3 games as. Uh, Babkov, their goalie, basically stole the game against Finland, in which they got completely dominated. They weren't particularly impressive against a very weak Austrian team in the first game, even though they won 6-2. Like I said, got dominated by Finland. The game was stolen by Babkov. By the way, I would really like to know who was in charge of giving out Player of the Game awards in that game and gave it to Filatov. Not really sure how a goalie who steals a game with a 46 save shutout doesn't become Player of the Game. Anyway, against Sweden they didn't play well, obviously, except for maybe one period. This game against Switzerland was actually, ironically, their best game in the tournament, I think. Of course, the competition wasn't as strong as some other teams that they've played, but they put together a very good second period, completely dominated the Swiss, but for some reason decided not to continue that in the third period and fell asleep twice. I mean, the way they lost was unbelievable, really mind-boggling. They basically fell asleep twice, first in the last 30 seconds of regulation and then the last 30 seconds of overtime. The goals that Switzerland scored were somewhat lucky, kind of just shots on goal that ended up going in. On the first goal, on the game tying goal, Washington Capitals prospect Arlov basically made a horrible clearance, trying to clear the puck right down the middle on the backhand, and got intercepted by the Swiss. They just flipped it on goal and bounced off someone and went in. Second goal in overtime. The overtime game winner, I think, was tipped in front by a Swiss player. For some reason, didn't get credit for it. They gave it to Nino Niederreiter, who was the most impressive player for Switzerland. Overall, I don't think that talent is the problem for Russia. I think that they had a lot of good players: Filatov, Tarasenko, Burmistrov, Kitsin, Petrov, Drunyov. I think they're all very talented, but for some reason they just didn't play hard, with the exception of one period here and there. Made tons of stupid mistakes. The first goal against Switzerland was a horrible mistake too. Russian defenseman had the puck behind the net and just coughed it up. The Swiss player made a quick wraparound. The poor Russian goalie Babkov was at the other post and just couldn't get back. Just tons of stupid mistakes. Mentally they were definitely not ready to play. I haven't had a chance to scan the Russian press yet to see what the reaction to the performance is, but I'm sure that their head coach Khrushchev is going to get blamed for this. Also, I have to say that they were missing a lot of prime under 20 talent. Defenseman Kulikov has become a regular with the Panthers in the NHL. Loktilonov got injured in his first game of the lay after playing very well in the AHL. Grachov and another defenseman, Vainov, were not released by the Rangers and the Kings respectively for some reason. Both were playing very well in the AHL. And Dmitry Kudryshov, another Capitals prospect, was sent back to his Canadian junior team just prior to the tournament after some kind of conflict with the coaching staff. And I know that Canada is also missing a boatload of excellent under 20 players, many of whom are already making an impact in the NHL. But I'm just talking about Russia right now. What else? Sweden. Sweden is really unbelievable. On paper they look like the best team in the tournament. They're coming in this year and last year, and for quite a long time now, actually. But they just haven't been able to win a tournament, and very disappointing again for them. I think losing to the U.S. in the semifinal today. I think the Czechs have some major issues right now. All of their talented kids are leaving for Canadian junior leagues, and doesn't appear to be helping their development. Um, I think their teams have become a poor man's version of Canada. They basically play a kind of a Canadian style, dump the puck in and try to hit people, but they're just not as good at it. Um, and Unfortunately, they seem to have lost a tradition of very distinct, proud tradition of Czech hockey, and I think it's kind of sad to see. I think the U.S. team in this WJC is excellent. I was very has have been very impressed with the U.S. I think the first game that they played against Canada was the best game in the tournament. It was an unbelievable game, just amazing to watch. Um, and I think that they will have every chance to beat Canada in the final. I think it should be a great game. My biggest concern with the U.S. is goaltending. They've been using Lee in the past couple of games, and he seemed very shaky to me, even though he wasn't really tested much. Their forwards, though, are very fast and skilled, and they also have some very impressive defensemen, like another Capitals prospect, John Carlson. Um, and lastly, I have to say that prior to this tournament, I obviously knew how good Nazim Kadri and Jordan Eberle were. I've seen him in, I've seen Kadri even in the NHL this year when he played for Toronto a little bit, and I've seen him in last year's WJC. But this was my first chance to see Taylor Hall, who's been old. People, have gotten so much press, and everybody's talking about him. And I have to say that the kid's absolutely sick, a sick player, amazing player, and I think is definitely looks like a number one draft pick overall in the upcoming draft. And whatever team gets him, I think he's going to make an impact in the NHL immediately, just like John Tavares did this year or Steven Stamkos. That's it for now.